This is Plant-Based Briefing, Cancer and Diet. Here's what you should know. Part 1, by Dana Hudepohl at forksoverknives.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and this is the 10-minute curated content plant-based podcast where I narrate articles with permission on a variety of plant-based and vegan topics every weekday. Today's article is a bit longer than most, so I'm splitting it into two parts. I'll read part 1 today and part 2 tomorrow. It's written by Dana Hudepohl at forksoverknives.com. Dana is an Atlanta-based writer specializing in health, and Forks Over Knives is a plant-based organization that was founded after their 2011 documentary Forks Over Knives was released. I highly recommend everyone watch that documentary, but their website also is a great resource. It's filled with articles, recipes, success stories, pretty much anything you need to get started and be successful on your plant-based journey. So now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Cancer and Diet. Here's what you should know. Part 1, by Dana Hudepohl at forksoverknives.com. It's expected that by the year 2030, there will be 21.7 million cases of cancer around the world, up from 14.1 million cases in 2012, according to the World Cancer Research Fund. The American Cancer Society estimates that 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will develop cancer in their lifetime. An estimated 40% of cancers are preventable, and diet can impact cancer risk in several ways. In this article, we'll review the scientific research on the connections between diet and cancer. What is cancer? New human cells are routinely formed as healthy cells grow and divide. It is normal for old, damaged, or abnormal cells to die, making room for these new cells. When suboptimal cells continue to replicate instead of dying out, they force out healthy cells. The spread of the unhealthy cells can lead to cancer. Causes of cancer. Causes of cancer include environmental factors, lifestyle behaviors, and genetics. Fewer than 10% of cancer cases are caused directly by gene defects or mutations passed on by parents. People who do inherit such genetic mutations can take steps to reduce their risk of developing cancer. Quote, time and again, studies have shown that even if you have inherited some genes that put you at increased risk of cancer, adopting a healthy lifestyle can significantly reduce that risk, unquote. Says Shireen Kassam, MBBS and PhD, a visiting professor in plant-based nutrition at the University of Winchester in England, who gave a presentation about plant-based diets and cancer at the 2020 Plant-Based Nutrition Healthcare Conference. An estimated 42% of cancer cases in the United States are lifestyle-related. Cigarette smoking alone accounts for 19% of all cancer cases, but it's by no means the only lifestyle factor to play a significant role in cancer risk. According to the 2020 American Cancer Society Guideline for Diet and Physical Activity for Cancer Prevention, more than 1 in 6 cancer cases in the United States are related to excess body weight, physical inactivity, alcohol consumption, and/or poor nutrition. But a 2019 survey by the American Institute for Cancer Research found that less than 50% of Americans recognize that exercise, alcohol consumption, and certain dietary habits have a clear link to cancer development. Foods linked to cancer. The following foods and beverages have been linked to a heightened risk of cancer. Alcohol. All types of alcoholic drinks, including red wine, are linked with cancer, and any level of drinking can increase cancer risk. Studies have found a dose-response connection, so the more alcohol a person drinks over time, the higher the risk of developing cancer. But even light drinkers who have no more than a drink per day, as well as episodic binge drinkers, have an increased risk compared with someone who does not drink. The body breaks alcohol down into a chemical called acetaldehyde, which can damage DNA and lead to tumor growth, according to the CDC. According to a 2015 scientific review published in Cancer Epidemiology, alcohol consumption is responsible for 5.5% of cancer cases worldwide, including head, neck, breast, colorectal, and liver cancers. Red and processed meats. In 2015, the World Health Organization classified processed meats as a carcinogen and red meat as a probable carcinogen based on epidemiological studies involving colorectal cancer. Quote, when we consume processed meats, we empower gut microbes to create metabolites that spark inflammation, induce DNA damage to the cells, and fuel a pathway towards colorectal cancer. Unquote, says gastroenterologist Will Buskowitz, MD, MSCI, author of Fiber Fueled. A study of survival after the diagnosis of colorectal cancer found that those consuming large amounts of processed meats did worse. Processed meats include hot dogs, sausages, bacon, salami, ham, corned beef, beef jerky, canned meats, and meat-based sauces. Red meats include beef, veal, pork, lamb, mutton, and goat. Meat contains heme iron, which may contribute to carcinogenesis. Higher consumption of animal protein is associated with increased blood levels of the growth hormone insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1, and higher levels of this growth hormone are linked to higher levels of cancer. Like meat, dairy is a source of saturated fat and IGF-1. Dairy also naturally contains sex hormones, including estrogen, even when labeled as containing no added hormones. Consuming dairy products is associated with increased risk of hormone-related cancers, including breast, prostate, and endometrial cancers. One study of women who had already been diagnosed with breast cancer found that those who ate one or more servings of high-fat dairy products every day had a 49% higher risk of cancer mortality compared with those who consumed less than a half serving per day. Fast food, highly processed food, and sugar-sweetened beverages. One study found that more than 75% of calories consumed each day in U.S. households come from moderately processed and highly processed foods and beverages. These eating patterns can crowd out foods rich in antioxidants and other nutrients that may help reduce cancer risk. A 2018 French study of more than 100,000 people found that a 10% increase in ultra-processed foods was associated with an even greater increase in risk of breast, prostate, and colorectal cancers. This could be because processed foods promote weight gain, and being overweight or obese is a known risk factor for at least 13 cancers, according to the International Agency for Research on Cancer. About 55% of cancer cases diagnosed in women and 24% diagnosed in men are overweight and obesity-related cancers, according to the CDC. A 2019 study of nearly 60,000 postmenopausal women found during a 12-year follow-up that women who intentionally lost weight lowered their cancer risk. You just listened to Cancer and Diet, Here's What You Should Know, Part 1, by Dana Hudepohl at forksoverknives.com. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson, and this is Plant-Based Briefing. Please tune in tomorrow for Part 2 of this article. Thanks for listening.